dear God. That was my first thought on realizing I'd have to fight Red, the creature that tormented me through nearly the whole game. How would I be able to fight something that I can kill with one touch? It seemed totally impossible. Thankfully, Red was no longer able to deliver one-hit kills, but despite that, this was still the most difficult battle I'd ever faced. In this game or otherwise, if I had any real comprehension of what I was getting into before I started the fight, I would never have done it. I very soon learned what a horrible mistake I'd made. Red reached out and clawed at Godzilla, and when those claws cut through him, I felt it. I know that it's common for people to cringe up when their video game characters get hit or loses a life, but this was not that. This was genuine physical pain. When the pain struck me, I paused the game. I hadn't suffered any actual injury, but it felt just like my shoulder had been clawed through. I had seen and experienced many unpleasant things to this point, but this game causing me real pain was where I drew the line. Yes, I would be disappointed that I didn't get to see the ending, but the risk was no longer worth it. I was able to get up and take one last screenshot and turn off the NES. Then I realized something else. I couldn't get up. I was paralyzed to my seat. The only muscles I could move were my fingers and thumbs, and the terror set in. A new message appeared on the screen. I started to scream, but only a weak, choking sound was coming out. I desperately tried to get my body to move, but it did nothing. I was looking at every direction, and then I looked over at the computer. Somehow the computer was taking screenshots of the game on its own when I began the fight. I still don't know how or why. Something in the game must have been causing it. Since Red could hear what I was saying, I tried begging for him to let me go. From here, things started to get hazy, as I was under extreme stress at the time, but from what I can remember, I said, I'm sorry I insulted you. I didn't mean it. I didn't know things would get this serious. Please just let me go. If you let me go, I promise I will never tell anyone or turn the game on ever again. Please! And Red replied, only one will survive. The statement could not be any more clear. If I couldn't kill Red, then he would kill me. Like an idiot, I had played around with something I didn't understand, and now it might just cost me my life. I stopped struggling to move and accepted the reality of the situation. There's only one way to get out of this alive. I had to kill Red. It all went by so fast. If it weren't for the screenshots, I may not have remembered any of this. Just like in the chase levels, Red moved at a horrifyingly fast speed. There was barely enough time to process a thought, and thus there was no time to form a strategy. I had to rely solely on my wits and reflexes. To make things worse, there was no way to predict what kind of attacks Red might use, so I constantly had to be on the offensive and defensive. I felt every hit that Godzilla took. They all hurt. I tried so hard to avoid the damage, but every attack that I dodged left me vulnerable to another, and the pain would only get worse. After he jumped over me, Red's eyes started to glow. I moved as far back as I could and ducked, but there was no dodging this one. When this hit me, I really did scream. I screamed so loud that someone else in the apartment should have heard me, but they didn't. Just looking at the image hurts me, making me remember the incinerating burn. I paused the game because it hurt so bad, and Red unpaused the game to attack me again, which made me furious. I immediately counterattacked with a heat beam again and again until the power meter was totally diminished. I wanted Red to hurt like I did. Just before the timer ran out, Red transitioned into the swimming form. I didn't think the timer would still be affecting a battle like this, and I'm thankful for it, because it gave me a few minutes to collect my thoughts and decide what to do next. I chose to fight Red's next two form with the monsters I had encountered with them, so Anguirus was next. It probably wasn't all that smart of an idea, but it's what I did. I jumped up and heat beamed Red in the face, and he moved off screen where I could reach him. Then a wave of large mines started to fall from above. I felt this was unfair, so I shouted, if you're gonna cheat, then why do you even have to let me use the controller? Then he came to me, rushing from the top left of the screen downwards. Damn it! Now I wouldn't even be able to see where his next attack was coming from. Red continued to strike from random angles. I constantly moved around to swerve around him. Another 40 seconds went by and Anguirus was nearly gone, but together we had forced Red into his flying form. So was Mothra's next turn. Deciding to fight Red with Mothra was a terrible idea. Mothra was instantly overwhelmed by Red, and the life meter was devastated in a mere 15 seconds. And once Mothra's life was down to 2 bars, Red did something I didn't see coming. Reached out, grabbed Mothra, and ate her. After Mothra was devoured, I felt an agonizing pain, like being crushed to death. Mothra had been killed for my stupidity, and I would share the pain. It was a short transition from the battle to the board, but it felt like an hour. The pain combined with being unable to move was driving me insane. I wanted so badly for this to end. I never wanted anything so much. But I still had hope. There was only one monster left that could be brought to full health by engaging Red in battle. Solomon. If any of them had any chance to save my life now, it would be him. Solomon apparently had some history with Red. As when the fight started, this dialogue appeared. Red took me by surprise again by immediately burning me with his demonic fire a second time. As much as it hurt, it actually worked to my advantage. Since Solomon started at full life, he still had some time to spare. And now Red had used up all his energy and could not use his ultimate weapon any longer. Now he would die. As he drew close to the end of his life bar, Red turned his whole body to face the screen and flew upwards, then slamming back down in an attempt to crush Solomon. When that failed to work, he tried to devour Solomon just like he had Mothra, but he wouldn't be eating my monster this time. I thought I had won, but something was very wrong. Red wasn't sinking to the bottom, and I still couldn't move. Red was still alive. After a seeming defeat by Solomon, Red had reconstructed his body into a gigantic final form, transporting us into a blazing inferno in the process. It was reminiscent of our first encounter, except now the scenery, much like the true power of Red, had become very real. The music had erupted into a loud blaring sound, a furious drum of death. Faced against Red's insane amount of health, my own demise was imminent. Solomon was my strongest monster, but not even he stood a chance. It was like trying to fight a mountain. Within seconds, Solomon was overpowered and dropped to the floor. When Red crushed him to death, underneath his foot, the sadistic demon took this time, as he snapped Solomon's vertebrae and ribs like dry, brittle twigs. I could tell he was enjoying our pain. This is hopeless. I'm a dead man. I had no choice but to send another monster to his death. We were all going to die. I only hoped they would forgive me. After decreasing Red's health by a minuscule amount, and Guiris had also obliterated, Red unleashed a hail of blazing hot needles into his face, until he collapsed. Another moment of unspeakable agony, then nothing as my ally faded away. I asked Red how he knew my name, and then he said, "For years she was being tortured by something nobody understood. Now I knew what it was. Now I understood why I was being mocked about Melissa's death, and that the game knew about it, because he knew about me, because he was the one responsible, and this time he was going to kill me." I was taken back by the board to send Godzilla to his final stand. Barely anything was left of the board. Just Godzilla and Red's icon. And the fifth monster. In the midst of everything that was happening, I had completely forgotten about it. I tried yet again to select it. I cursed, I begged, I screamed at it to do something, anything to help me, to no avail. There's only one thing to do. I knew Godzilla didn't stand any more of a chance than the rest did, but maybe now that all the monsters were gone, the fifth monster might finally awaken. I managed to get the creature's icon selected. I pressed the A button as fast as I could. The icon started to shake as if it were trying desperately to move. It was then that Red decided he was done playing fair. And before I could activate the monster, he went for the killing blow, paralyzing my heart. My hands started to become numb and unfeeling. But even as my vision was fading away, I still tried to press the A button. Red surely was breaking one of his rules. But he must have thought that if he could kill me quickly, then it would be too late for any consequences to matter. He would have won. He was wrong. Red's power was being challenged by another force. It prevented him from killing me. And when I regained my vision, I saw a familiar sight. Who are you? What? How is that possible? Red told me that he killed you. But how will I be able to stop him now? His words stirred something inside of me. I wasn't going to die like this, and I had more to fight her for than just my own life. I had to fight to save Melissa, and the world she inhabits. With her help, the fifth monster was finally unleashed. It was time to end this, once and for all. Together we would take this damned hellspawn out of existence. IBtjE5acVBQ was by far the strongest playable monster in the game. It had to be. If we were to have any chance of surviving, his punch involved turning his hands into blades, which caused tremendous damage. But Red had more than enough life to spare. In the end, this would come down to pure skill. With one final strike, Red was destroyed. His body disintegrated and sank below, accompanied by a soar of triumphant music. Slowly the paralysis wore off, and I was able to stand up again. We had done it! Melissa's death had been avenged, and I felt overwhelming happiness, until I remembered all the death and pain that led up to this point. All the other monsters who had fought and died. I was about to mourn them, but the game had yet to conclude. Tears of joy streamed down my face, and I broke out crying. I cried harder than I have in several years, maybe in my whole life. All I had been through, all I had discovered, and now the game was coming to an end. But before she and the others left, Melissa had something to tell me. I am Zachary, and at the time I write this, it has been 3 weeks since the fateful night when I played the NES Godzilla game. Going back to that night, to immediately after I turned off the NES, once I was able to start walking around again, the first thing I did was unplug the NES, take out the cartridge, and put them in separate sock drawers. I looked over at the computer, all the screenshots you've seen in the story were saved, I backed up all the images on a flash drive before I turned the computer off, just in case. After that, I hit the bed and instantly passed out. It was not a restful sleep, but one of complete exhaustion. I felt like no time has passed before I woke again. And what a day that was. The first thought I recall coming to mind was, what the hell happened last night? I thought about it for a short while until it occurred to me to contact the person I got the game from to begin with, Billy. So I called him up and told him just to come over to my apartment, when he did. And I showed him the screenshots, and I gave him a very basic summary of what had happened. At first he thought I was pulling a joke on him, but he soon realized that that was not the case. Once it hit him that this was not real, he was speechless. He made it clear that he had absolutely not tampered with the game, and had no idea about any of this. So then the obvious question was asked to Billy, where did you get it from? I got the simple answer of another friend of mine that I trade games with. He assured me that this was a trustworthy person, and he never had any issues with games he got from him before. So then Billy called him. But when we told this guy the story, he was as shocked and surprised as anyone, except he abruptly hung up on us. This clearly was going nowhere. Before Billy left that day, he asked me if I wanted him to take the cartridge and dispose of it. I sharply declined. He asked how I could possibly still want to keep that thing. I told him that I needed time to think about it over, and that was that. Billy and I haven't talked much since then. Even though I've told him about this, it isn't the case. I get the impression that Billy thinks what happened with the game was his fault. After he left that day, I did a lot of thinking. It was very hard for me to do anything else, really. I couldn't stop thinking about the game. There were so many questions left unanswered. What was Red? Was Melissa really in the game? How did she get there? Why did this all happen with this game? But the one question that kept me for many nights was, Red said he had known me for a long time. How? Ever since then, I can't shake this feeling of being watched. The game made me ask myself questions about death and reality in ways I would never think about. I'm not too sure about anything anymore. Constantly thinking about it soon began to have a negative impact on my life. I just didn't care about anything else at this point. By comparison, all the other day-to-day activities seemed utterly pointless. I eventually decided that I had to choose between one of two things: try to play the game again or destroy it. I tried several times to convince myself to try the former, but I never got further than plugging the NES back up. Just touching the cartridge made me remember all the pain I felt during the fight with Red. I wonder if perhaps playing the game again myself might cause something terrible to happen. I don't know anything about this game, about how this game worked, and it was too risky. I wasn't sure I could stand another round of the game anyways. So then it was time for the other option, wanting to get some fresh air. I took the game with me and drove down to the lake, planning to throw it in. I got up to the lake with the cartridge in my hands, and I looked down on it, and I thought of Melissa. Of what I had experienced in the game was indeed genuine. Doing what I did may have been the only way to save her from endless torture. In a way, this warped game may have saved her soul. Damn it! Once that thought came into my head, I knew that I wouldn't be able to destroy it. So I just sat down on the bench, gazing at the lake for about an hour. Ultimately, I decided on a third option: selling the game on eBay. It might be selfish, but I promise you that it has nothing to do with money. I don't care how much or little I get paid for the game, believe me. It's selfish because I don't want the responsibility of owning this cartridge anymore. I cannot dwell on this forever, and the only thing I can deal with this is by putting the game out of my life. So this brings me to the main reason I created a summary of these events. First is to record the details while I can remember them. The second is that whoever bids on this game knows what they're getting into. I can't guarantee the safety of anyone who plays the game, or that anything will happen at all. But to the new owner of the game, remember this: be careful. And if you feel as the game is literally messing with your mind, shut the damn thing off! So, this is the final thoughts, final analysis on this Godzilla NES creepypasta. So we start off with this inevitable boss battle. We see Red changing its forms, even a new one, which I refer to as the Hell Giraffe form. Red picks off party members, one by one, even devouring Mothra at one point. Red's attacks are very diverse and detailed. Fire attacks from the face seem so unrealistic, though, in my opinion, to the NES visuals, not to mention the fact that the fire attack's face looks like a ghoul from Fallout. What do you think, Mike? What do you think about this whole fight so far?
So far, it's the epic conclusion that we've all been waiting for. This whole 27-part creepypasta has culminated to this epic boss battle with Red.
And, at this point, this is what we've been waiting for. This is the final conclusion to it, the final battle between Red. Each hit is hurting the player, literally hurting the player, taking away the life force. I mean, this is literally a battle to, the death. you know? And now we're looking at the game as talking to you. It's literally talking to you, different color text and whatnot. And Mike, you wanted to tell us, how this was it looks like it's symbolic at battle. It's like an old archetype, good and evil. You want to expand on that?
Oh yeah, very much so. This is classic literature, and I can't believe I'm saying that about a creepypasta, but this is technically classical literature. I mean, this is Beowulf. This is like Star Wars, where it's just good versus evil. You're talking about, you see the colors of blue and red, blue representing good, red representing evil. It's classic architecture for literature, and I gotta admit, I really kind of like it so far.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the player's party getting decimated. The game even calls the player out by name, Zachary, and claims to be the killer of Melissa. So clearly now it's reached a whole new level of personal. And then after a difficult fight, Red then melts away and everything's good thereafter, which, I gotta admit, that melting effect is pretty cool. Then you avenge Melissa, all teammate Kaiju returns, and Zack saves them all. Yay, game returns the title menu. Even Face makes an appearance and is happy. It's a cliched ending, but like Mike said, earlier on, it's better than a plushie appearing. It's better than something jumping out at your computer monitor and just slicing things up, right?
Yeah, I'm just so glad that Red didn't come to life and exit the TV via like the ring or something like that. It actually had some kind of conclusion to it. And
Right.
at least it may be. It was a happy ending, believe it or not, which is something really rare in creepypastas. It was I don't know how to explain it. It was a feel-good creepypasta.
It was. It was a feel-good creepypasta. You get that good feeling inside you. Then you move on to the epilogue. Zachary has screen caps saved out of the whole event, which I think we really like, Mike. We'd be documenting this stuff too. We'd whip out cameras, everything.
Oh, definitely. Picture it didn't happen.
Exactly. He somewhat forgets the event, but you can understand after a traumatizing experience like that, especially when your life is in danger.
Yeah, I think that too.
And then Billy, you talk to Billy. Okay, Billy obviously has no idea. Says he got it from a friend, a.k.a. Bootman Bill. Then you have player grows more paranoid. He starts asking tough questions about death and reality. Then sells a card on eBay, which is a dick thing to do, by the way. And then the game is...
That's a pretty asshole move on his part, I gotta admit.
Exactly. And then the game, he gives us his advice. The game is messing with your mind. Shut it off. And I guess now we can tell you what we finally think about this creepypasta. What do you think?
Overall, as a whole, I liked it. I liked it. I thought there were some really original elements into it. There were cliche parts, of course. You're always going to have some kind of cliche.
Of course, I'm not saying any creepypasta, even like really, really good ones, even Ben, they all have their cliches. It's just how cliches are not bad inherently. You just have to find a way to put them in right. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You got to find the right piece. You can't just hammer it in. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then you see you see things like now personally, I liked the creepypasta. I really did. I just thought the middle section of it was a little bit more filler than what I wanted it to be. I think it could have been a little more shorter than it was now.
It could have been a lot more shorter than it is now. It is a good story, but there are obviously a lot of pacing issues with it. But yeah, I mean, this whole story could have been condensed into, I'd say, like 3 chapters. What they told in 8 chapters could have easily been done in 3, I'd say.
Exactly. No, it's just it felt just super duper long. It's like the middle section, especially. I think for us it was chapter 5 for us, right? Where we said it was a little filler. Or 4, I believe. It was one of those chapters. Yeah. But yes, it did reach fill in the middle, but I liked the way it concluded. I thought Red was an interesting character. All the way through. I thought Red was really, like you said in the series, like he was a glue that held it together. And I guess that's all I really have to say about it. What about you, Mike? Any final, thoughts about this? Final thoughts?
I think it was good. I think, like I said, this was a step in the right direction for creepypastas. It was taken very seriously at times. It had humor at times to kind of ease you through the chapters. Overall, very well written. Yeah, I have to say that, even with its small faults, I really enjoyed it.
And I guess that's really all we have to say about Godzilla NES. So I hope you have enjoyed the series. I hope you have enjoyed and sat through and enjoyed the whole chapters we read. I hope you liked our analysis. This has been me, Mudahar, and Mullet Mike. This has been a collaboration, a creepy haunted gaming, if you will. And this is me, Mudahar, and Mullet Mike. And if you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe. Feel free to go to his channel, The Sticky Paddle. The link will be in the description below. Just click on it. Awesome videos there. This is me and Mike, and we are out.
Peace.